Big spoilers for Elbath ahead, but Gunko seems to have some of the most interesting physiology we have seen in this series so far, because when she is in a state of high emotional distress, she is able to both resist and break out of IMU's mind control. We see this during the events of Elbath proper, in which she releases everyone's binds for a moment after breaking free. And we do see this in the Brooke flashback, because even though she was freshly put under Dami Reversi by IMU, it's very odd that she doesn't end up killing Brooke. She skewers him in such a way that she doesn't cause any permanent damage to his brain. So she has the precision of a surgeon with a sword, which is why I keep saying that the whole Usopp lie that we see in Thriller Bark of there being a beautiful female sword master carrying lots of meat, that has to be her, because even that amount of precision is incredible while being controlled. That's amazing. I love Gunko for that. But continuing on, it's also funny that IMU seems to have some kind of dominion over Zoan fruit powers that doesn't seem to exist with Paramecia fruit powers, because they never make Gunko use her arrow fruit powers while possessing her. But when IMU is possessing both Marcus Mars in the Brooke flashback and Saturn in the God Valley incident flashback, they are transformed in their Zoan states, and seeing as how when Saturn is possessed, he starts out in his human state, but later when IMU and Saturn are fighting Garp and Zebek and Big Mom and etc., he goes into his Zoan state, which makes me think in an odd way that IMU is a Zoan and then somehow has some dominion over other Zoans, because Marcus Mars during the Brooke flashback also appears in his Zoan state. So I'm not sure, but in talking about Zoans, it's very interesting that two Zoans seem to be completely immune to IMU's mind control, those being Luffy and Loki. It's weird that IMU didn't know it wouldn't work, though. I will say that. But this makes Gunko pretty impressive, because she's doing this based off of her physiology. Presumably, I don't really know, but that's the trait that's being highlighted over the course of the Elbath arc, so I think that's most likely the case. But anyway, which then makes it so that any little expression of willpower allows her to just break through with ease. The only other person who had the ability to somewhat break out of the control but then got sucked back in is Harold, whom was an ancient giant. But like I said, he could only break out for very, very short spurts of time before being sucked back in and being fully controlled. So yeah, Gunko is super impressive so far, that just on a whim, if she feels strongly enough, she can break out of IMU's mind control, which makes me think if she does have a covenant mark, I wonder if the covenant mark has affected her in any significant way, because I'm on the fence, and I've talked about this before, but I'm on the fence of how the covenant mark has affected her. The regeneration is a possibility, but then again, that could be a devil fruit thing with the arrow fruit. And in terms of the longevity or immortality, that too could also be a devil fruit power, meaning one belonging to the arrow fruit and not necessarily a power from IMU. We've seen that before. Like, for example, Sugar. Sugar with the hobby fruit is young now and remains 10 years old forever, even though she's 21. And then 2, with the book fruit, things trapped inside books by Mondor stay ageless. So immortality is a pretty common power, or a possible power, I should say, amongst devil fruits. And sometimes it can be situational, because you look at Brooke. Brooke has a hard time dying a second time thanks to him being a living skeleton now. Not much affects him, and his physiology is very weird. So I say that to say it's very likely that the arrow fruit could just be a weird paramecia type Del fruit, like say Doflamingos or Katakuris, that just has an effect on Gunko and makes her immortal without really the need of IMU's influence, because IMU's influence doesn't keep you young. That's the point. We've seen multiple times, multiple characters are old while having the supposed Abyss Covenant, like those of the Five Elders. So I think there's more to Gunko and her fruit than meets the eye. And I think she will become a Straw Hat, and she'll have some pretty big turnarounds as the story continues. But with that being said, if you are enjoying the video so far, click the like button. And if you want to see more from me, click the subscribe button, followed by that bell so you never miss a video. In addition to, if you could, hit the hype button because it really does help. And with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What?